Welcome back, and today, as you can see, we are doing a writing lesson. So it's been a little while since I planned a lesson on YouTube with you all, but just again to get you guys to know what it looks like for a year 5 lesson, especially now in the summer term coming towards the end of the year. This lesson we're going to be teaching in a little while, so we're going to get straight into it and get planning. And as you can see on here, we're doing the sentence stacking lesson, which is also with the right stuff, which you can see up here. It's not by Catherine Rundle, that's the Explorer. It's by a woman called Jane Considine, and it's absolutely brilliant. I love teaching it. And so yeah, we're going to get into planning it today. I've got my slides up here. This is one from last lesson that I've just copy pasted, but I'm going to get it all put into place, and I've put in my day 7 Fred has an idea chunk, so that's ready so we can get started with our teaching. So first of all, if I have a look, our first lesson, we're going to be looking at collecting descriptions for tiredness, exhaustion, tugging at them. So I'm going to copy and paste that, and I'm going to stick that into my first box on my plain grid, which I have kind of looked at, but it just didn't start looking very nice. So I'm going to get that in there. Then we're going to go back to our description, and it's going to say read the description on page 14. So I'm going to have to make sure I do that in the lesson. And then some private descriptions, which I'm going to copy and paste all these. Because again, they're just good examples that they give to you that I can then use with the children, and I'll show them the ones they've given us, and then I'll make sure they're thinking of some of their own ones. And finally some homely smells, some things that their homes smell like, what reminds them of home, that kind of thing. Then the teacher model they've got, so they moved as quickly as raking bodies, etc, etc. I'm going to copy and paste that into there, into this one, and then you can see that is chunk 1 done. That's an example. Obviously I'm going to go into the planning slides in a minute, so it's not the planning done, but it's the first example of my lesson done. Then we're going to have a look through this one. Something Fred is beginning to glow under the sun. Soundscape, positive sounds of the jungle. So we're going to need some of these. And again, I'm going to use some of the stuff that we did in our first experience day, which we did about a week ago now. So I'll make sure they've got that in their writing portfolios, and then we can use that. So I'm just going to leave in positive sounds of the jungle like that, because obviously the children have to think up their own ones, and it'll be things like, you know, animal noises, parrots tweeting, monkeys going for it, all sorts of things. The Burrenworth dragonflies they've got, so that's quite a good one to use. Then finally, the raft on page 66, adjectives to describe how a good idea feels. So that feeling when you get a good idea and you're kind of quivering, you're going for it, you're really happy about something. So we'll get all those ones in there, get rid of that bullet point because it just doesn't look very nice. And then going into the next one, the teacher model, it was we've got some synonyms for idea as well, so I'm going to get those in. Hope, but direction, plan. Synonyms are always a tricky one I find for children, because if you can find synonyms, then you've got a really good understanding of vocabulary, and you've got a large vocabulary. So they're always a good kind of tester for you to see which children in your class have a good vocab, which ones need some more. And then obviously generating synonyms in every lesson means children get to know them more and more. They're looking for them as much as they can. So that's our example of our text, and I'm just going to go back and see. We've got the eyes, the nose, the equal sign, the heart, and the hand. So I'm going to have to go and copy and paste those from up here. So it was the eyes, the nose, the equal sign, the heart, and the hand. So there are chunks for this lesson, which I just remember them with those names. Helps me remember them when I need to copy and paste them all. They just go in these boxes so the children know as we work through each one, they know what's coming up. So we're doing some noticing and some smelling in the first one. It's obviously the noticing the stars, the smell of home. Then it was the equal sign, so it's a complex sentence. Then finally it was the heart and the hand, so we're doing about feeling and then about touching. So again, it's those getting those senses in there, and then I'm going to have to copy and paste those. Because on the next slide you'll see it's blank, and that is just the one that I print off each lesson. So we use portfolios, so these will go into their portfolios each day. I print off this one. So this is what the children do when they're writing on in that lesson. They write down all their ideas in the white box, and they're writing on the lines here. And I will link back somewhere up there about the previous lesson I've done where I explain a bit more about the right stuff. If you've not used it before, it's brilliant. I do suggest going and checking it out. So we need some descriptions of tiredness, so I'm going to first of all pop that in there. And then what else are we doing in chunk 1? We are also collecting descriptions of the clearing and collecting some homely smells. So 3 different things to do in this chunk. So quite a lot for the children to think about, and you'll see I don't just give them the answers. So for each of these I'm going to go through and I'm going to change the colour to white, because then when I come to talk about it with children, we'll think up some of our own ideas. They're not just copying the ones off the board. So we're going to go and have a look now for some pictures to go for this one. So if I go for Google search for jungle clearing, something like that will work. So if I just copy that image nice and quickly and stick that onto my PowerPoint. Obviously we don't need that. Crash picture was for a previous lesson where they were talking about the plane crash landed in the jungle, and now we're going into the jungle clearing, so we'll stick that on there. In fact, I might see if there's a better one, because it does talk about nighttime, doesn't it? So if we can find a jungle clearing at night, something like that. Yeah, I think that'll be better. Copy that one. So we've got a nice jungle clearing at nighttime, and that's just for them to have a look at to get a bit more of an idea about what kind of things they want to be writing about. So that's our first slide done. Then we're going to go on to the model one. So the initial initiate is all about them thinking up their own ideas. The model one is then when we go through this and we actually show them the example that we've been given. I'm going to put that on there, make it slightly bigger because it's a bit small for the kids at the back and the side of the room, like that. And then I'm going to go through and have a think about which ones I want them to change. So the descriptions for tiredness, quickly as their aching bodies allowed. So obviously their aching bodies, that's one way of saying you're tired if your body's aching. I'm going to put that in red. Then they need some descriptions of the clearing, a small clearing blanketed in layers of thick green glass and caramel carpets of moss. It's a lovely description. And it smell of warm days. So that's obviously their smell of home. So they're the three things they need to change. And in the lesson, we'll discuss if there's anything else in there that they might want to change. Then the enable is one I just save as a bit of an extra bit. If someone does it really quickly, then I use the enable one to offer a bit of a challenge, somewhere for them to progress onto a higher level, basically. And then we've done chunk 1. We're going to move on to chunk 2. So again, I need initiate. And at the end, I'm going to change that to chunk 2. I've spelled initiate wrong, so I need to go and check that. Because as always, and if you're not a teacher yet, you will find out when you are a teacher then very quickly. Children love to correct you as you go through stuff, so I'll correct that now so they're not going to catch me out. So we're going to read this bit, so I'm going to copy that sentence into the initiate box, because then we can read it together on there, get rid of that bullet point so it's not all funnily aligned. And then once we've read that sentence, we need to do the positive sounds of the jungle. Whoop, just search for the word soundscape, my bad. We're going to sound something like that. I'm going to skip the user appearance words because I will touch on them and get them to go back into their portfolio and have a look, but I'm not going to really do a lot about that bit. I don't think it's too necessary for this part. So we're going to soundscape, positive sounds of the jungle, and obviously we're going to have to get some ideas for that, what type of sounds we want. But I'm going to let the children think of that because they'll be very good at thinking up those ideas. And I think I might leave this same picture again because, again, we're talking about the night time, the clearing, what sounds they can hear. So we'll leave that on there. So then for the model, when he woke, so it is kind of going to morning time, but I think this picture will do for the same kind of thing, what sounds they'll be able to hear. You've got some razor light, we could talk about that's possibly the morning coming. So for this one, we've only really got the sounds of the dragonflies. So we've got the burr and whir of the dragonflies. So I'm going to put that in red because that's one they're going to change. So we've got the burr and whir of the dragonflies. I'm going to put in sky so blue because they can add in a bit of description about the sky being blue and how they want to see it. Wait a minute, aquamarine with neon turquoise and Miss Randall's art lesson. So that's quite a cool little bit for them to use. I might put that into blue when we come to do it and kind of challenge them to see if they can change that themselves. And then, as we said, enable bit I'm going to leave there, but I will use it come the end of the lesson if someone needs a bit of a boost, a bit of an extra challenge for me. So picture that on page 66, I'll be showing that in class. Adjectives to describe how a good idea feels. So again, they've given us loads of them here. So I'm going to change this to be initiate for chunk 3, and then we're going to copy and paste all that in there. But as always, we're going to hide all the examples to make them really have to work for it. You don't want to just give them all the ideas. I might leave a couple of them like fizz and a tingle, just because then at least they get a bit of a start. And then again, synonyms for hope, we've got quite a few of them. There we go. Synonyms for idea, sorry, hope, direction. I'll hide these 3, and then again they've got a couple more to think of there. What are we talking about at this point? It was a glow and a whir, tingle, it was terrible, it was an idea. So there you go. That's a nice quick one, this one, not too long. Just going to model that one. Sort of copy and paste that sentence in. Having a look, it was a glow and a whir, so that's partly how he's feeling, so we're going to have to put those ones in. It was a tingle and a tremble. We have to colour those in red, and it was an idea. So quite a bit they need to change. It's only a short sentence, but lots for them to think of themselves, which is always good. And then, as always, an enable chunk. To make them have a bit of a challenge, I'm just going to make it a bit bigger, because I know in class I'll have to do it, and it's just something that I can do now, make it slightly easier for everybody. And let's make those a bit big too. There we go. So there you go, that is a writing lesson. We've got 3 chunks. I've left the pictures the same for this lesson, but I think they kind of fit all the way through, and that's how we do writing in our school at the minute. As I said, the Write Stuff is amazing. Do go have a look at it. Do go have a look. I think they've got some kind of intro lessons if you're not bought into the scheme yourself. They're absolutely brilliant, and I love teaching them, and I think it's just worked really well. We've only done it for this year so far, but I'm hoping we're going to do it for a few more years into the future yet, because it is showing some really good progress so far, and as I think as each class moves up by doing it, it will keep on showing that progress, and they'll get some really good writing out of it. So as always, guys, thank you very much for watching. Hopefully you've enjoyed this, and hopefully it's been useful, and you've seen how we do writing in year 5 in the summer term. So yeah, I will see you guys very soon. New video on a Tuesday, Friday and a Sunday. Thanks very much.